Time is ticking. Time is ticking. I just got my last dieting grocery trip done for the day earlier. So, no ramen, no ice cream, no ribeye steaks. No family-sized packs of like 30 individual Quaker Oats blueberry flavor. That's definitely my favorite. But what it did consist of, was some low carb tortillas, some running into a little traffic in here. Low carb tortillas, fat free cheese. I'm talking zero sugar barbecue sauce, some lean cuts of steak. I'm talking top round. None of this New York strip fancy pants. Because you gotta remember, I mean, I've been saying this a lot. It's like my go-to buzzword when I'm talking about dieting. But pretty much all foods have a kind of a range or a spectrum of a higher kind of full calorie version and a leaner kind of lower calorie diet friendly alternative. So if more often than not you can pick that alternative, you're going to set yourself up for having a better at least a much better chance of hitting your calorie goal for the day, or staying under your calorie goal for the day. I got one comment. Sam, is one cheat day a week okay if I'm trying to diet down? Yeah, probably fucking not, man. It depends on the day. It depends on just how many calories you're eating, because it's all math. Let's say you're a guy who's yay big. You burn 2,500 calories a day. So that means if you eat 2,500 calories, probably 200 grams of protein, 80 of fat, however many of carbs, you stay the same weight. So if you were to eat 2,000 calories every day, then that would mean you got to pull that extra 500 from somewhere. You're going to burn that from your internal storage, right? Your body fat. So if you do that for 6 days straight, you just essentially put yourself 3,000 calories in the negative, which is a good thing. That means you burn 3,000 calories of energy from shit that's floating around inside your body. The majority of that is going to be from your fucking fat tissue, right? That's the whole point of the diet. But let's say, you know, it's Sunday night. You're telling yourself today is going to be your cheat day, and you've been eating 2,000 calories. Now you go kind of crazy. You have a fucking 5,000 calorie day. You go fucking buck wild. You just ate 2,500 calories above your baseline. So you put yourself 2,500 calories upwards toward, the green, essentially meaning you've got now a new 2,500 calories of excess energy in your system. So you just spent the whole week burning net 3,000, and you just undid that almost completely in one day with a big ass cheat day. So that's where it just comes down to numbers. Because if you extend that and you do you have a big cheat day after 3 weeks, then that's not going to matter so much because you just had 3 weeks of really good dieting, and it's harder to undo that in just one day. If you have one day of just kind of going crazy calorie wise, but you were consistent with your diet all month, honestly, that's probably a good thing. An actual bodybuilding coach, they're going to program in refeed days as you diet down just to kind of maintain your metabolism, keep your appetite nice and, well, not to keep your appetite high, but to get your metabolism going, not slow it down too much. So, I mean, refeeds are fucking legit. But yeah, don't, that's, given that you did like 3 weeks at least of a legit deficit where you're not cheating and you're actually staying on your numbers. Don't, a refeed, if you have a big refeed twice a week when you're dieting, I don't hate to break this to you because I want you to know the truth. That's not a refeed. You're just eating in a weird way at that point. You're not bulking or cutting. You're just fucking going halfsies on your diet. And I guess I don't really bring that up too much. I probably should. There's the majority of people who are plateaued and they're not making any substantial progress, bulk wise or cut wise, they're not doing either. They're not trying to bulk up and eat a ton of calories. They're not trying to cut down either. They're just staying right in the middle ground. They're lifting, they're keeping up, like whatever. They could lock it in, but they're kind of just, staying where they are. Not saying that's an extra good thing or an extra bad thing. But if you're going to at least start and put in the effort and energy to stay in a calorie deficit for a few days straight, or, I guess ideally for months straight, look, you really got to lock it in, man. You can't fucking get around it. There is no undo button if every second day of your diet you just go fucking crazy and you have like 6,000 calories. It just doesn't work like that, And anybody that's really lost a substantial amount of fat, or any amount of fat, I'm talking like 10 pounds, 5 pounds, whatever. If you've done that manually and you get the gist of how your calorie intake is going to affect it, then you know what I'm talking about. But no more diet talk. I feel like I'm just repeating myself from the last few drives. So plan for back day, as I wait for the pre-workout to kick in, is I'm not totally sure. I kind of have to wait to get into the gym to see. A lot of hammer strength machines at this gym, so I've kind of got my pick of the litter. I can just sort of get in there, and once I'm substantially warmed up, do pretty much whatever seems right. Be it a low, like really low lat biased hammer strength row, or more of a high to low underhanded pull down. There's all sorts of shit going on in there. And with back, I kind of have a pretty open approach to whatever the back workout looks like, but it usually does follow similar trends like all my workouts. More kind of heavier, brutish sets in the beginning. And then as my workload increases and progresses, I'll transition and do a few more kind of lighter squeezing sets toward the end. So if I start the workout off with 3 sets of really heavy seated cable rows, then I sort of know, okay, I just hit my upper mid back, I got some lat activation too, and I did kind of heavier hard reps. I now want to kind of change up my approach and stimulate my back in a different way. So now I might do lighter wide grip pull downs and really just try to isolate my lats and do reps with more of a squeezing emphasis than just a workload kind of mechanical tension emphasis. Because those are the two, at the far ends of the spectrum, those are the two kinds of sets that anybody does. If you make the weight heavy enough, then you have to do lower reps because you physically cannot do any more, which I like sets like that. Doing a weight where you can only do 10 reps and then you just can't move it anymore, as far as I'm concerned, that means you did a good set, because you've pushed your targeted muscle to its legitimate limit. And I think it's better to be on that side of the exertion. Well, I don't want to say that, I don't want to keep saying spectrum, but if you can either push a set with 0 intensity or 100, if 90 is where the sweet spot is, which I'm not inclined to believe 90 is, but even if that were the case, which is kind of the argument of the guys who say, like, leave a few reps in the tank, even if that were the case, I still think pushing it to your absolute fucking limit is, that's way better than the alternatives, The guys in the gym who do just fluff sets, just going through the motions, not really pushing it, there's a reason that they're not the top dogs, But yeah, just kind of doing an even sort of mix, regardless of what machines and exercise order that ends up being. I'm pretty comfortable with it. And I can say that a little bit more, confidently, because I've done like 2 back days a week for the past, like, almost 6 years. Actually, yeah, I think I'm coming up on the 6-year mark. I think a few months and I'll be a 6-year lifter. So 2 back days a week, basically. 6 years, 300 days. Yeah, I've done at least 500 back workouts. So that that's 500 back pumps. So I pretty much have a solid grasp of the movements that are going to give me a good feeling of satisfaction after I'm done with my lifts. So if that's not you, if you don't have a crazy amount of training experience under your belt, then man, maybe just have one of your buddies walk you through his back day, or just look up online fucking anybody's back day. We've got years upon years of archived footage of every fitness influencer to Mr. Olympian bodybuilder and the way that they trained. And these guys, regardless of their like subjective, or not even subjective, but regardless of their like level of knowledge or training information, or like if they're basing their training off of scientific third-party tested studies, or if it's just bro science from back in the day, across the board, everybody basically has one desire, and that's muscular results. So regardless of necessarily the way that you can explain the logic of the way that these guys do things, they're still basically trying their best from their own perspective to make gains. And putting yourself in someone else's shoes like that and kind of letting them take the reins of your training for even just a workout, that's a fucking badass learning experience, Every time I get to lift with anybody fucking, way ahead of me, I back off. I want to listen to the way that they train, at least get a grasp of what they're thinking. I may not apply everything that they do, but that's because it just might not fucking sound right in my mind, But the last thing I want to do is just develop a complete closed mind to my training. Even right now, I'm training pretty differently. Actually, I'm training extremely differently than when I was like 5 years ago when I started. And honestly, a lot of the ways that I do sets now, that's even different from a year ago. And I don't think that based on my current knowledge level, I feel like I'm training pretty well. But I'm sure that even in a year, I'm going to be doing things a bit differently too. And the nature of that change, I would hope, is going to be approaching a better and better workout routine, diet, sleep, training, everything all together, so I can keep making consistent muscular hypertrophy. But enough of this little speech. Regardless of how smart you think you're training, the guy who's training harder than you will probably get better results. So let's play some fucking metal music while I keep driving over to the gym, and then we can get started on whatever that first music ends up being. Or first set ends up being, what am I saying? So I tried the classic seated hammer strength row. The one you kind of reach over like this. It's wasn't doing it for me. So instead of a crazy heavy set to start, I think just this stack, very squeezing, like holding kind of reps will be perfect. And I know it's the stack, but this is not like the heaviest stack. I've seen I've seen videos of guys doing like 2 plate slaps on the side of us, and they're like my size or smaller. But it is enough weight where I know this will be a good set. That is if I can match it to a good song. All right, come on. Oh my God. Oh. Oh. One or two more. Same style. Ooh. Oh my God. Okay. Let's move on to some kind of pull down, I think. Let's get a heavy shoulder width neutral grip pull down set in. Very good potential for a drop set, to be determined. Oh my. One more. Slightly wider bar though. This is a little too narrow for my liking. I think one more just like that. And then I don't know what's gonna be next. I did the upper back focus rows and now these lat focus pull downs. My back's already pretty pumped. I kind of get to do whatever I think's gonna feel good. Not a bad state to be in. Oh my God. Okay. Oh my gosh. Oh. Oh. Okay. Yeah, lats are fucking wrecked at this point, and I'm still feeling my mid traps from those controlled rows. So just, I mean, put yourself in these shoes, man. If your biceps are absolutely obliterated, you've done 6 sets of biceps. Do you think it's really going to matter for those last 2 sets if you do like easy bar curls versus, you know, fucking dumbbell preachers or cable curls? I'm not inclined to believe so, you know? I'm most concerned with the way that my first 2 to 3 movements really feel like. You know, like I started on that row over there. You can't see it, but I said, I don't like the feel of this. I'm going to go start on the other row. But once my back or whatever muscle you're training has already gotten pretty warmed up, it's been fatigued, it's had some workload, and it's literally fucking pumped, the difference in muscular contraction between different movements is going to be pretty minimal. So I'm not so concerned with, okay, which row should I move on to so I can really target my fucking teres major. I'm not even going to be able to specifically target it like that because my whole back is so pumped up. All I'm going to feel is like, okay, burning, stretch, burning. So what I'm concerned about for these last 2 or 3 sets is just doing some kind of movement where I like it enough to just fucking burn out as many as I can, finish with a crazy back pump, and then go post down like a fucking monster. Well, monster in the making. All right, I'm no Goggins, but I'm gonna bust out a set of pull-ups. And I'm kind of in my best state to do pull-ups because I'm relatively light bodyweight style. So I might do one and then actually do like a drop set into assisted pull-ups. That probably wouldn't be a bad idea. How much assistance is this? Yeah, that'll be good. Yeah, so bodyweight pull-ups first, hit pretty much as close to failure as I can, drop the pad, then get some assisted ones going. Oh my god. Oh gosh. Oh. All right. Let's finish with something else and then be all done. This machine isn't necessarily my go-to upper back machine, but like I was just saying a second ago, the workout's almost over. I just kind of want to do anything that's going to stimulate the part of my back that I want to, which in this case, since I just finished those pull downs and pull-ups, and an upper back shrug-ish rows. A little heavier too. Actually, no. That's a good weight. Yeah. Oh my god. Okay. Let's go post down. Back complete. So only I don't know what, 7 sets? I can't even remember. I didn't even count them. Well, okay, I counted them, but I forget now. And I don't really that doesn't really stress me out. You know, I've kind of evolved a little bit as a lifter, at least I think, to the point where I used to be under the impression that my training looked like this. I had well, way back when early days, I used to say, okay, I've got 25 sets for biceps, 5 movements, 5 sets each. That's what I have to do to have a good workout. And then eventually I got to lower that down from listening to more knowledgeable characters and sources. And for a while, I was like, okay, I need to do 11 sets every workout. Anything shorter than that is just a workout that got short. 11's my number. And then for a while, I was doing okay, 8 sets are my number. Whereas now, I'm more so like, okay, I know what a good workout feels like. I know how pumped I need to be. I know what it's gonna kind of, you know, I know the sensation of getting gradually more and more fatigued from hard working sets. Now all I have to do is just go in and have a good lift. If I'm extra strong, I'll go heavier, do heavier sets, and then I'll be at like, I don't know, 7, 6. I've had 4-set workouts where I'm like, okay, that's good enough. So it's I think the enlightened lifter is a little bit more, I don't want to say loose, but he's got the ability to kind of vary his training based on how he feels on that specific day, at that specific hour. If I'm extra well rested, I'm going to do all crazy heavy sets, be really fucking pumped, enjoy the process of it, get to leave like a fucking happy camper. Now, if I feel like shit at the craziest end, I'll just take a rest day. But I may just tone back a little bit, maybe do lighter sets, squeeze a little more, don't focus on like trying to completely overload my CNS. It's there's no one right answer. That's what I was trying to say there. But we'll just run through a couple. Oh my goodness. Not saying anything from the back. Ooh. Now that's what I like to see. All this fanciness going on down here. I don't know how I should put my hips when I do this, because it's like, do I lean all the way back, or who's to say? Either way, back is fucking pumped. Oh. All right, let's roll. Yippee-ki-yay. That's the end of the back day. Yeah, don't worry. Those rhymes are not going to become that's not going to become my routine. But every so often. So, back complete. Good pump. Well on track in the dieting side of things. If I had to estimate, I think the last day that I died down, I'll probably be about 2:37 in the morning with an empty stomach. But that's in like a weekish. I'm gonna get through all the low calorie shit I just bought at the store earlier, and then the next grocery trip, which I'll make sure to make a whole little thing out of. That'll be what the first few weeks of the to be determined or to be named bulk is going to start with. But no, I got a little tidbit for you. I got a little something to say, man. You need to develop. Oh, I mean, it's just the nature of things, man. You got to change with the times as you grow older, get a little more mature. And it doesn't just happen completely subconsciously. Part of it does, obviously, as you get a little older. You're not going to be goofing off as much as you were when you were a kid. It's just the nature of it. But the guys who I think have the best time are the ones who, for one, have a pretty solid regulation of their own thoughts and emotions. I'm talking stoicism style, like, okay, I'm upset right now. Why am I upset? Should I even be upset? And then definitely not like lashing out, fucking, The guys who are living on kind of a lower level of consciousness are the ones where if they're kind of annoyed or busy someday, if they flip that around and then they're like being snippy, especially with the people you like, your fucking friends and family. I mean, dude, you're being a schmuck, man. I mean, I'm talking you're straight up in the animal realm. That's coming out of the six realms of existence. You got to be on a higher power. But I mean, not that I don't do that. I mean, let's be real. If I come home, trip on the stairs, coming into the door's locked, and then I got to go through the garage. My pocket gets caught on the doorknob, and I get hit with three of those things at once. I'm like, God damn it, fuck. But I try not to do that. Try my dangdest not to do that. But for real, you've got to be able to look at your own thoughts in the third person and think like your own thoughts, your own routine, just everything that you do, and be able to judge yourself as though you're an outside observer. Because do you know how quick, do you know how fucking easy it is? If you were to look at somebody knowing nothing about them, absolutely nothing, do you know how easy it is for the thoughts to come up in your mind? It's like, oh, look at this guy. He probably doesn't even fucking work out. Oh, look what he's like. Just coming up with any detail that you can see based on how they look and how they're walking around, and come up with so much random shit to criticize them about. But then when it comes to like looking at your own fucking lifestyle choices and like the things you've been doing and how much you've been putting off, and then we get a little bit more lenient. We give it's always in your best interest mentally to give yourself the benefit of the doubt, because that's just a more comfortable state of being. No one likes to admit when they're wrong. They definitely don't want to admit that to anyone else, you know? So if you can be a little bit more open-minded with things, not just in your training, but also just in your fucking day-to-day life, be able to kind of put yourself in somebody else's shoes, realize like, oh, that guy did not mean to cut me off. I have no reason to be mad for the rest of my 20-minute drive, or just random shit like that, you're going to have a better time. Because do you know how much just random stuff will make somebody's entire day? And I don't mean like day in a good way. I mean like, somebody will come home from work or whatever, and like I just said a second ago, someone cut them off in traffic. That's their story for the whole day. That's the most notable thing that happened to them all day. That's just mundane nothingness, right? The basic framework of your day and just random shit, that shouldn't be the stuff that you're focusing on. That's kind of stuff which should just, you go through whatever. You got to put most of your energy into things that you really want to do and put energy into. Now, in my case, that's just fucking working out, which has ended up working out pretty well because I've got a really good consistency, dedication, and also just was not potential, but what's the word I'm thinking of there? Adeptness? No, like proficiency. Somebody who doesn't have like a Michael Phelps build is never going to become a Michael Phelps if they tried to become a competitive swimmer. I don't think I've got the I don't have an awesome baseline proficiency to be like a long-term distance runner, but I've got reasonable skills with the weightlifting, plus I enjoy it, so that's fucking perfect for me. And I think that's another thing which I would hope you'll be able to find. Not just it doesn't have to be working out. I think everyone should be working out consistently, have a weight training routine, just as a part of making sure your body's running and is kind of functional. Plus, being in shape is cool. It makes everything else in your life easier. But you need something, and I really believe this. You need something which you can put time, thought, and energy into for, upwards of hours at a time. It doesn't have to be every day, but pretty consistently, every few days at least, where you get to put hours of time into this thing. You really enjoy it, and it's got a long-term trajectory. Anytime you hear somebody who they told you they started like doing jujitsu or something at their jujitsu gym, they've been doing classes 3 times a week for the past like 3 years. Guess what? They probably fucking love it, because they've got something that they can work at and fucking have fun with, It's like, just because I think a lot of people have done sports in high school and then they got out of school and they just stopped doing it. That's important, man. Your extracurriculars, honestly, that's the fun part. That's the part which you should really be prioritizing as your life goes on. Everything else is just kind of shit you just got to do to just, live and exist. The fun part, the stuff that you have control over, it's like, all right, I got 2 hours before, or I've got 2 hours of free time today, after work, after school, after whatever. How do I want to spend it? And it's a little bit of a mental fallacy, because playing on your phone and doing nothing or playing games or whatever, that's fun. That is fun. That is like some enjoyment. That's some downtime. You get your serotonin pumping out everything else and dopamine. Your brain's telling you this is a fun way to spend my time. But come on, man. We all know you'd be better off doing something else. So that's where what I was talking about a second ago, the proficiency comes in. If you can find something, if you can dive real deep into a long term, like large potential for development kind of hobby, which you also really love doing, then that's the fun part. That's where the match meets the striker, right? And you really get a fucking chemical reaction. So if you know one of your buddies who fucking loves working on cars, guess what, man? He's having a lot of fun doing that. He is having a lot of fun doing that. And it extends beyond the time that he's actively doing it. Because during the day, he gets to look up car videos and like fucking look up a brand new, holy shit, all I have to do is grind off this little nub on my turbo and it can fucking ramp up to X RPM. Like just random shit like that. That's just kind of fun, man. And if you get to kind of put your energy and effort into something like that, especially something which you can use your hands on, I'm talking something real physical, kind of a little more of an activity, you're just gonna like it. And that's where I think a lot of real deep internal kind of self-value is just going to come from, man. I don't think that well, it definitely plays a part when people talk about like working out and getting big in terms of building up your confidence. That's kind of a classic trope about the motivation for lifting. Definitely true, just because walking around like a bigger guy is going to kind of make you feel a little more comfortable in the world. Same thing with the guys who love getting into fighting and like wrestling and boxing and everything. They're also comfortable now because they know they could totally wreck somebody if they wanted to. But it's not just that. It's not just the fact that you now have a physical change and you're a different guy. It's just that you've done something for a long time and it required real physical effort. That does something to you. And it kind of gives you a little bit of a just don't give a fuck attitude, because you start to realize, or I would hope you start to realize, all right, I've only got so much time. I don't mean like in life, I mean like I've only got so much time today. So if you develop a little bit of a skill or a hobby or whatever, something you really want to practice and get good at, then you're going to get defensive of your time because you don't want to waste it. I am not going to spend my whole day doing some completely random BS because I know that I got to be ready for my workout later on. So sure, it may make you a little more reclusive. You're not going to catch me. You're not going to catch me staying up till 3 a.m. going out, going out clubbing. That's even funny for me to say. I don't think I've ever used the word clubbing outside of the context of just referencing it. I mean, it's just, for one thing, it's not my deal, and also, it's not conducive with the shit that I want to do. So, as you kind of find something like that, and the more defensive you get with your time, and the more you want to protect your peace, I think you're going to get a little more in tune with your own subconscious and kind of reach a more of a baseline, just sense of contentment. You know, I'm talking way of the samurai kind of stuff. I haven't read that. I haven't read the Musashi's Five Rings. Probably should though. All sorts of really cool tips and cliches in there. But main idea: if you find something you like, you're going to become defensive with your time, and you're also going to gonna kind of become defensive with who you spend your time with. Because if you know anybody or anybody's kind of in your life where they don't really, they just don't play nice with the things that you want to do, then just by having that sort of situation be the way it is, you're going to back off from them. And then that's going to let you do the things that you really want to do more without any more obstacles or annoyances or anything else. So that's where it could be a little trickier, because I know there's a ton of you guys. There's probably a ton of you today. I mean, what day is it? It's Monday, but it's summertime. So I'm talking younger demographic, older demographic too. It could be anybody, whatever. There's at least a couple thousand of you where you were planning on lifting tonight. You were planning on hitting the gym later tonight. You had a busy day. You're like, okay, I got back at 8. You get a text. Some of your buddies want to hang out. They want to smoke. They want to go drink. They want to go to the bars, whatever. And you have a moment where at first you're going to say, oh, dude, I'm going to work out. I got my workout at 8. Like, this is what you're thinking. And this is what separates the dogs from the pups, right? What are you going to do? Right? Are you going to get your workout in like you were supposed to? And like you know that you want to? Or are you going to succumb, man? I'm talking high school peer pressure. What's that one anti-drug shirt? You know what I'm saying? You know, which one are you going to succumb to? But that's not rhetorical. That's not a rhetorical question. There isn't just one answer, you know, because you got to enjoy your life too. I'm not saying have zero fun ever, but if you know that you really want to prioritize your gains, you know, it's summertime, you get a little more free time on your hands, you want to spend it doing something productive, which you're going to be able to look back on proudly, then it's going to be in your best interest to spend more time doing things which are going to build something up for the future than to just purely enjoy the moment. And honestly, if you're fucking going out drinking, you're going to enjoy the moment at the cost of fucking discomfort later. But I mean, you're straight up poisoning yourself, unironically. You're going to have to deal with that. And that's going to set your training back even further. So, the main idea I'm trying to get at here is try to back off on anything that's, you know, fucking with your routine. Because it is so nice to be locked in. You know, it just comes with it's like getting to the airport an hour and a half early. There's no stress. There's no, like, you're not frantic. Your day just goes by nice and smoothly. You know, when you add in all this sort of extra distractions and you spend a lot of effort and your fucking mental energy thinking about them and fucking, it's taken away from the things that you really want to do. You know, what are you going to look back on? Which let's think about this here. How am I trying to word this? Which past are you going to look back on more fondly? Right? The summer or the 3 months where you fucking kicked it in gear, you started training hard. It could be anything, doesn't have to be lifting, whatever. You started getting really good at something for 3 months. You were really fucking into it. Or the 3 months which you just kind of fucking hung out and chilled the whole time, you know, and fucked off. And I know it's kind of a blunt way to put it, but it's true, you know. So you're in control of that. As much as you may believe, like, outside factors are like forcing your hand, you know, at the end of the day, that's a lot of stuff around you is just strong suggestions, which you've got the power to say, no, man, I gotta do this. You know, stay on track. But the guys who are doing that, the guys who are on track, they don't need me to tell them. And they kind of understand where I'm coming from when I say this sort of stuff. So if you want to be part of the in crowd, per se, of the guys who are actually making serious progress, only one person is stopping you. And I'm looking at him right now. It's you. But plan for tonight, I've got two, oh crap, what are they called? Yeah, guess what I got at the store? I got two prime fillets. I'm talking filet mignon. Total waste of money in a sense. Like, I could have got some more of the top rounds for literally half price per gram of protein. But those are sitting in 127.5 degree water in a Ziploc bag in the sous vide. So all I've got to do is 1 minute sear on either side with some salt and pepper. Perfect. So cardio in the morning as well. Something that I would recommend. That's all I'll say there. But I'll see you tomorrow for arms.